And don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, it's Mike here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. So the inspiration for my project today is taken from inspiration from another YouTuber, Barbara from 49 Dragonflies. Now Barbara did an art project which she herself was inspired by something that she'd seen on Pinterest. So my project is based on Barbara's and Barbara's is based on somebody else's. Inspiration linked to inspiration linked to inspiration. So if you want to see what Barbara created on the original piece of inspiration, then I'll put a link to Barbara's YouTube channel and the YouTube video in the description area below this, so you'll be able to see what inspired me. Anyway, without further ado, let me turn over to my overhead camera and I'll show you what I'm going to create based on what Barbara's created, based on what she'd inspired her. You know what I mean. So I've kind of got my work area ready. I've stuck down onto my worktop a piece of watercolour cardstock. Now the final piece of art that I want to create is going to be 8 inches by 10 inches, so 8 inches by 10 inches. This piece of watercolour cardstock is 9 inches by 11 inches, so that I don't have a white border all the way around after I've done what I'm going to be doing, which means I can trim it down so that the colour that I'm going to be applying goes right to the edge. Does that make sense? I sincerely hope so. Right, so I'm going to be applying some acrylic paint onto this piece of watercolour. Well, actually, it's mixed media cardstock. This is the one from Dale Rowney. Ian, can you just look at that and just tell me, shout out what the weight of it is, please?
It is 250 gram, 169 pounds.
Right, so 250 GSM, yep, which is 169 pound in weight, and it's the Dale Rowney mixed media cardstock. With
the purple cover.
With the purple cover, that's the one. Okay, thank you for that.
15 guineas.
My glamorous assistant in the back. So that's what I'm using for the base of my image. It's taped down landscape because it fits better on the screen that you're watching, but also it works better when you're trying to use a brayer, which is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be manipulating and putting paint down vertically to get a kind of, well, hopefully a certain kind of finish. I'm going to be using this old atlas. So this is a fairly oldish atlas that I've had for ages, that I've ripped to shreds, taken out the maps and all that kind of stuff. I'm not even sure what date it's from. 60s, 70s maybe, late 60s. And I'm just going to use the inside pages to put the paint down on, so I've got something to work my brayer with. Right, so the colours that I'm going to be using are these. So we have, and I'll just quickly run through, these are all matte paints from Indigo Blue. So we have Banana Custard, we have Townhouse Teal, we have Pistachio, which is that lovely pistachio colour, pistachio green. I've got Porcelain colour, which is from their skin tone range. We've also got Warm Tan, which is also from their skin tone range. We've got Burning Bonfire, which is the orange, and we have Olive Waistcoat, which is a darker, more khaki kind of green. So those are the colours that I'm going to be using just to add some colour into my background. So I'm going to start off with the lightest one, which is the Banana Custard. Banana. Right, that was a bit minion, wasn't it? Okay, so I'm just going to spatula some of the Banana Custard just down on that. I should have some wet wipes here somewhere, just so I can clean off my spatula. Actually, you stay up. I should have put a clip on that paper. I'll just wipe it off onto some kitchen roll. Okay, I'm probably going to need a lot more than this, but I'm just going to load up the brayer. And I'm going to start kind of down here at the bottom. Now I'm going to be picking up the texture of not only the paper, but also the texture of the paint left over on the brayer, because I'm dirty and I haven't cleaned it.
Dirty boy.
I'm a dirty boy, yes. Tell me I'm dirty. No, don't. Right, so there we go. I'll just pop that there, just pick up some more of that colour, just work it onto the page, and then just carry on working it and working it and working it till we go all the way. I'm also just going to go this way as well. So this will be a kind of slow process of build up of different colours, and on different kind of layers. Similar way to how you do it possibly with a jelly plate, where you put your layers down and then you let it dry and then go back and do another layer and then let it dry and go back and do it again. Because I'm working the opposite way on this page, so I'm working with lighters first and then I'm going to be adding darkers, if you like. So the next I'm going to be adding some of that pistachio. I'm just giving them a quick shake because some of these I've just opened brand new, and I'm just going to drop that directly over the top of where we've been with the yellow, because I don't mind if it kind of mixes a little bit. Okay, so where we haven't got much on the yellow, you can add that layer. Okay, a bit more.
Well, those colours are nice.
They are.
Very mid-century modern.
Well, I suppose. Right, so let's grab some more of that pistachio.
While you're doing that, could I just print a second and make a rumble noise?
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. Obviously, this is going to take a while for me to build up all the layers.
Yes.
Why don't I put some music on?
Yeah.
And then I'll speed through the process. I'll show you which colours I'm using, because all I'm going to be doing is building up the layers for this background as I'm doing it. So you print away,
okay,
and I'll put some music on.
Will I sing?
No, please. Okay, so those are the layers that I'm going to be using. What I also want to do is just add a little bit of speckling, a little bit of splatteriness. So I'm just trying to find my splatter brush, which I thought was in some water here, but obviously I've cleaned it at some point, which is a bit weird for me. So I'll just move that out of the way, get some water, and I've got this warm tan. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a shake up. just take a little bit of that warm tan, not a huge amount. It's almost the same colour as my matte look. Give it a little bit of water, and then we can start just adding in some speckles. So we can get some larger ones. That'll do. Don't want a huge amount, so we've got those. So we'll get those dried. Okay, so that's the brown splatters dried. So now I want to add some of those darker green olive waistcoat ones. So again, same process. Grab the green, grab your brush, add a little bit of that paint down onto the worktop. Tad of water, just give it a mix, and then just add a few more drops. Don't really need a huge amount, just a few. Didn't really use that much paint, it just looks like I did because I added water to it. And because these paints are so pigment rich, you can dilute them quite a lot and get a good kind of mixture, a nice watery mixture, without using a lot of paint. Okay, so I'm looking at this now, I'm thinking I want a bit more blue at the top here. So we're going to go back to the brayer, do a little bit of backwards and forwards, grab some more of that Townhouse teal, and then we can just add another little layer, but not too much. Do just get some on the brayer, and then we'll start off. That'll do. That's better. Okay, so that's dry, so enough for me to release it from its masking tape. It's extremely low tack, so I know it's not going to pull at the paper. So that is going to be my background, which I'm really happy with. So on to the next step. Okay, so for the next step, I've got my Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer. I've got some leftover scraps of 12 by 12 papers that Ian has been using for some of his journal making. These he doesn't want anymore, so I'm going to utilise these. And I've got 3 kind of outlines for kind of ethereal, just generic kind of humanish figures. Just the outline. I'm going to be sticking stuff down on the backs. So, trimmer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these just into small kind of strips, leaving on some of the text. Okay, so that one, this one's got a nice little bit of bird cage on it, so we'll cut that down as well. We'll probably use maybe just half of that. So we've got those there. So as you can see, I'm just going to build up kind of a layered effect. I'm just using thin strips. What I don't use now, I may use later. Just have to make sure that they're wide enough. So I'm going to cut, or go away and cut enough to do all three kind of ethereal figures. And I'm going to mix and match the papers. I'm going to go that way on some, that way on others. So let's just cut. Is that already cut? Yeah, that's already got a cut in it there. So right, so again, I'll go on to fast forward. I forgot to talk then, didn't I? I'll go on to fast forward. I like those, the fact they've got the strips going that way, so we'll deliberately ignore those and go the other way. I'm trying to keep them as straight as possible. There we go. And not necessarily... No, that's quite a long one, isn't it? So I love the fact that some of these have got typography on, some haven't. Right, as I was saying, again, I forgot to talk. I'll go away and carry on cutting these strips out, just random strips, so that I've got enough, hopefully, to do all three. Okay, so I think I've now got enough strips cut out to do all three of those figures. So I'll just make a mark on this where the head is. I don't need to cover the head. So I'll just get a pencil. In fact, if I just hold it up to the light, I can see where the head is, and I'll do the same thing on all three. There we go. So I know where I'm going. So that's pretty much where I need to start off from. Okay, so let's just get going, get cracking. Now, because these have already got adhesive backing on, I don't need to use any glue. So I'm going to go across at an angle. So these won't stick down to the mat very easy, so that's fine. So I'm now going to just vary the pieces. Put them up and go across each sheet. Deciding where each one's going to go. I need to make sure that I'm covering the edges. So that nice piece of, yeah, that's going to go nicely in there. So like I said, I've got all three of these to do. I'm hoping that's going to be part of it. So let's go lighter again. Here we go. Oops. So I'm trying to butt up as much as I can. Just spend a little bit of time deciding which piece is going to go where. So we'll have that birdcage piece next. So about 10 pieces, or approximately 10 pieces per figure. So what I'll do is, now that you've seen me do one, is I'll slope off and do all three, and then I'll be right back. Okay. All good fun. So when I turn that over now, you can see the figure. So when I cut that out, I'll have the figure made up of those pieces. Marvellous. Right, off with the other two. Okay, so I've swapped over to my cutting mat and I'm just replacing the blade in my on my scalpel. Keep all the used blades in there, look. All nice and safe. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to very carefully just cut out the shape of the figure. It doesn't have to be perfectly exact. You can go a little bit wavy if you want to. You don't have to stick exactly to the lines, as long as you've got the general kind of shape of the human figure. And then when you get up towards the head, just a round shape is enough, because this bit will also be covered over with something else. I think that's it for that one, so that can now just gently, because it's got the sticky edge to it, you just have to tease it out. This is the problem with this adhesive stuff. It's blooming horrible. It's very, very sticky. There we go. Don't worry about any kind of like frayed edges. It's no problem. Right, so that can go in the bin. So that's one. So I'm now going to go away and do the other two quickly, but this time put in a little bit more pressure on that scalpel to get through the adhesive. Okay, so obviously if you've used glue you're not going to have as many problems as I have just had or experienced. Okay, so we've got our three figures. I'll just put that away. So we've got our three figures cut out now. So what I want to do is I want to go around the edges with some distressing just to kind of grunge them up a little bit. Okay, so then I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my distressing. So I'm just going to go around the edges. I'm only going to go up to the shoulders. I don't need to go any higher than there. This is why I said don't worry about if you've got a few little catches, if it hasn't stuck down or it tore it up a little bit. But I mean, if you're using glue, then you shouldn't really have a problem. Okay, so those are my three little ethereal figures. So it's now time to do a little construction. Okay, so I'm back with the background. So I'm just going to trim off the white. Alright, so I want it 8 inches by 10 inches. So marry that up with the 8, just there. And then I can just take off that excess yellow at the bottom. And then spin that round, and then that can be cut off at 10. So we're just losing that little bit there. Perfect. So there's my 8 by 10 piece. So now I can bring in my characters, and I'm going to stick them in or stick them down there we go. So just tilt slightly, and that one comes down a bit further. I'll just remove these bits of paper because they're catching my eye and they're distracting me. So in this folder I've already cut out my little faces that I want to use.
Well, that looks cool. I like the strips of the paper.
Well, you know, your leftovers.
Well,
not really leftovers. Not really. Okay, so before I stick them down onto the main background, I'll show you the faces. So the original was 3 saints. So I'm doing sages. So I'm doing men, obviously. So we've got him, we've got him, and we've got him. So apparently these are Plato, Socrates, and Homer, but not Simpson, obviously. So they're going to get glued onto. Let me just take that off the background first. Right, let's move the background out of the way. Right, so do the middle one. So I'm just going to tack. Come on, glue. Don't do this to me. I'm still waiting for my... There we are, just one little blob will do. One little blob. One little blob. That's it. That will do. Okay, so Socrates, Plato, and Homer. So they've already been cut out. These were originally from vintage cigarette cards. That's why I said about leaving the head where it was. So I've got a rather large collection of vintage cigarette card imagery, which just is perfect when you want something like this. Okay, so that's that. Now we've got something else. I am going to need my fine point applicator with the glue, which is over there. Run across to the other side of the room, run all the way back again. Here we go. Right, so I've also got some hands. So these hands were taken from images of Catholic saints. Don't ask me which one was which, because I can't remember which ones I got now. So I want to put the one with the cross, a little bit of glue on the back there, and that's going to go up there, like so. So that's Homer, and then Plato, sorry, a bit clumsy. I should have my little tweezers, shouldn't I? You can't say it's down to coffee because I've actually had none today. So this one is going to come up here. And then obviously the last one, and he's going to go for Socrates. Okay. Up there. So I'm going to leave those for a minute or two, and then I'll be right back. Time to put the kettle on, I think. Okay, so while the figures are drying, I want to add some grunge to the outside of this. So we're back with good old distress vintage photo, and back doing it the traditional way. So start off and then come in at the edge. Now you probably won't see all of this because it's going to be going in a frame, but I know it's there. So I can afford to come in a fair distance. Switch that round. Always start outside the image and then work your way in. It just adds that extra bit of dimension. So if you're one of my angels and you like this background, before I put the distress on it, of course, I've made it as a digi download, so you can download this background by visiting the angel section, the angel exclusive section on my website. Okay, so I think maybe a bit more over this corner here. Yeah, just a tad more there. Okay, so that's going to be the top where the blue is. So I also want to add in just a little bit of detail and a little bit of stenciling in the background. So I've got this quatrefoil stencil. This is one of my older ones. This is one of the ones that when it sells out, it will be being redone as a 5x8. So, right, let's just line that up with the top of the page there, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of grungy distress just up there, just in the background, a little bit over here. I'm just going to add it in 3 places, just because we can, and again I think actually maybe 4 places, just a little bit over here, but only really lightly there, and then a little piece down here at the bottom. Just dirty that up a little bit. There we go. I'm happy with that. Okay, so just pop that away. I'll have a quick clean up, get rid of that distress, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've had a bit of a tidy up and I'm back with my coffee. Oh, nectar. Right, so these are the 3 sages. So what I want to do is I want to add a halo to each one. So they're going to go kind of like that on the page. Now, this is mirror board or mirrored board in gold to act as a halo to go behind the heads, but it's too big. Now this is punched with a 2.5-inch circle punch, and this is a 2-inch circle punch. You see, I think that's a bit small, it's a bit potical, and I don't have a 2.25 circle punch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and kind of cut a circle halfway around. Now I don't really care that if it's a perfect circle. I don't want to dig out my Spellbinder dies because they've been rotting in a cupboard with a big shot for absolutely ages, and I don't really mind if it's not a perfect circle. I really don't. So I'm just going to trim that down a little bit. Right, so now we should have something which is approximately 2.25 inches. And I'm going to do that to the other 2 circles as well. Now what I could do, I suppose, is I could draw a circle in the middle and then just work my way around it, but do you know what? Let's just go for it. Embrace the imperfection. That's the mantra for the year. So let's just do it by eye. Like I said, I'm not particularly bothered if it's not perfect. And that's the last one, I think. I think on the original image, there's kind of like a ray, a starburst, not a sunburst halo on the three saints. Barbara didn't do one, didn't put halos around them. So I thought I would add halos, but this time just make them solid, kind of like gold circles. There. Right, so what I need to do is I need to just stick these halos onto the backs of the heads, and then I'm going to lay this in the frame, and then I'm going to stick the people, my peeps, once the background's actually in the frame. Okay, so move that out of the way, stick that down, just flip it over, and then I can move it up just so I've got kind of a better idea where it needs to go. Okay, so that's one. Shiny, shiny. So that's Homer. So this is Plato. Stick that down, flip it over, just so that I've got a better idea of how it is, or sitting in the middle. And then the last one, which is Socrates. Again, just a blob. And then that can go like so. Flip that over, see, way too low. Shoulder to shoulder. Okay, so let's just let those dry for a second or two. Let them grab. Look at the shine on that gold. Ace. Right, and I'll be right back once that's just had a chance to dry. Okay, so it's been a few minutes. They've had a chance to just grab. I've put the background in the frame, as you can see. Let me just zoom out a little bit. There you go. And yes, I know I've taken the glass out. The glass will go back in again afterwards, but I've just put that there so I can gauge where everything's going to go, and I can actually stick my main focal point down onto the background and see where they're going to sit in the frame, so I can make sure that I've got everything in the right place and that nothing's going to be obscured by the frame when we're done. So, glue, come on, that blob of glue there, and then we'll just work our way down to around about the bottom. Okay, so once it starts it won't stop, because that's the nature of the spirit glue, particularly when you're getting towards the end. Right, so beardy bloke's going to go, well, they've all got beards, haven't they? Right, he's going to go in the middle towards the bottom. Like that. So Plato is going to be in place there, and then Socrates, not Socrates, Homer is going to go just like that. Perfect. That's what we like. We love it when a plan comes together-ish. See if the glue lasts. Come on, baby, you can do it. Things with this stuff, you don't actually need a huge amount. As long as you've got some glue sticking to the back I mean, you know, it's not or ever intended to be museum quality. I'm not leaving this as an heirloom to anybody. Right. Up there. Just a little bit of a gap between, just a little bit of a tilt. And then we can add our final chap. Come on glue, you can do it. Oh, come on. Oh, look at that, just not enough. Just not enough. Well, luckily, he says, luckily, I've got some grab and go. Which should, oh, there we go. Right, so let's line you up. Just like that. Love it. Okay, let them sit for a minute and then I'll be right back. Just need to have a cup of coffee because, look, I put the glass back in the frame and caught my finger on it. Yes, blood everywhere. It's what they call a boo-boo. Okay, so Stabilo oil pencil, brown. You could also use a distress crayon or whatever, anything which is kind of like water soluble. All I'm doing is just mixing up some of that paint with a little bit of water because I just want to add a little bit of shadow. Just kind of around the bottom of the figures. Now, I could have added the pencil directly on. See, if I'd have used distress inks and created a watercolour background, I wouldn't have been able to do this because it would reactivate with the distress inks. So that's one of the reasons why I use acrylic paint. So if I just see, that's already wet. It's going to be very, very subtle, I think. I personally, because of the lighting in here, can't really see it all that well. Some of this will be obscured as well by the frame, so it's just going to be subtle. Okay. And because it's water soluble, you can add it down and then you can come back in a little while and just blend it quite easily. So even when it's dried, that bit there, if I'm not happy, if I think it's too dark, I can just get a little bit of water on my brush and just come back in. Just lightly go over it again and just tease it out. It looks darker on screen, I think, probably than what it is in real life. So again, this is going to take me a few minutes to go around and do what I need to do until I'm happy. So I will go onto fast forward and then I'll be back. Okay, and there it is, with glass. It's like a scanner. Zzz, zzz, zzz. It has got the glass in. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way that's turned out. So from 3 saints to 3 sages. Really happy. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create my version of what Barbara did based on what somebody else has done. Inspiration comes from very strange places. So like I said, I hope you've enjoyed watching me create my page or creation, if you like. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up because it really does help the channel. Don't forget to share it with your friends if you want to, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very soon. Probably once I've painted the frame gold. That's all from me. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget, you can access your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. There's a link in the description area below. Thank you.